Am I the a-hole for denying my ex his son after he abandoned us, and I took the choice alone to give him up for adoption? I, 32 female, had a baby boy when I was 16. Yes, I know how that sounds. No, we weren't careful. Judge me all you want on that front. I've dealt with that for years. Mike, 33 male, was my boyfriend at a time, and when I found out about my pregnancy, he did a disappearing act with help from his family. Something about being a future college star or whatever. My parents were always blunt. What happened next was my choice. After a lot of thinking and deciding abortion just wasn't for me, I chose to give up the baby for adoption. My parents knew a super sweet couple who were looking to adopt. We met and I just knew they were the right people. This turned from a teen mistake into almost a surrogacy. I started homeschooling to finish my education and to have time to rest. The adoptive parents were with me for everything. It even paid for most of the medical costs. The adoptive mother, a teacher, helped me with my schoolwork and prepared me for college. They were present for the birth and I refused to hold the baby. Instead, his actual mother did, and it felt right. I've stayed in the baby's life in a distant role as a special aunt. Well, he is no longer a baby and he knows who I am, but his mom is the woman who raised him, and I continue to be a special aunt. The only change is that now he knows who to call if he needs a kidney. His sense of humor is like mine. Go figure. We talk maybe once in a blue moon, which is honestly for the best. He's happy, and I don't regret giving him up to have a happy life. For my part, I got married 6 years ago. My husband, Aaron, 44 male, was divorced on good terms with Bella, 40 female. They have 2 children together, a boy who is 16 and a girl who is 19. Aaron made it clear from the beginning of our relationship that his kids' approval was important and that Bella would always be part of his life, not as a spouse but as a friend and the mother of his children. I also told Bella and Aaron about my teen pregnancy. To begin with the kids, my stepdaughter and I get along well. She's closer to her mother, but we still have girls' days together now and then. My stepson is incredibly close to me. He calls me his other mom and always asks me to be present for important events. We bonded when his childhood dog passed away around the same time my cat died. Bella and I were best friends. I know people have complicated relationships with their partner's exes, but we always show respect for each other. I never try to take her place. Aaron and Bella shared something special long before I was in the picture. That's their history. I'm a stepmom, not a mom. Her place in the kids' lives is not up for competition. The whole mess with Mike started when I took my stepson to a medical appointment. It wasn't serious, though he did have to be under anesthesia. Aaron and Bella both couldn't get the day off, so I went to support him. I didn't recognize Mike as one of the doctors. His real name, both first and last, is incredibly common, and it had been years. My priority was my stepson's care, so everything else was secondary. After the appointment, as I was getting my stepson comfortable in the car, Mike came over. He told me he had been thinking about me and our son for so long, and that he was glad our boy was okay. It took me a few minutes to realize what was happening as he rambled on about apologies and not being ready to be a father, blah blah blah. Eventually, I sighed and loudly said, "This is not the baby I was pregnant with." I gave him up for adoption after I gave birth. I'm a stepmother. My loopy stepson chimed in with, "Other mom," and I had to hold back a smirk. Mike was stunned, which gave me time to explain. I told him I gave up the baby. The child knows what happened. I'm happily married with stepchildren and I don't want him in my life. I also made it clear I wouldn't give him contact information for the adoptive family. He's 16 years too late. I left it at that and drove my stepson home to rest. Since then, Mike has found me on social media and has been painting a sob story about me denying him a chance to be a father. He claims I threw away my child to raise someone else's. According to him, I'm basically the she-devil. Most of our former classmates reminded him that he left me. Some of his high school friends even pointed out he laughed about leaving me pregnant. I hadn't known that part. A few of Mike's relatives have reached out to bash me for taking away his chance to be a father, calling me a poor Christian. I'm not Christian, I'm Jewish. A couple of friends said it was a bit move to give the baby up without telling Mike. Personally, I don't think I was in the wrong, but I'll leave the judgment to the internet masses. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. When he abandoned you and his son, he made a choice to not be a part of either of your lives. You didn't deny him anything. He did it to himself. The decision of adoption was yours, and you did what you thought was right. That's perfectly normal. Not the a-hole. Not to mention, if Mike really did think about the kid often and wonder if he was okay and whatever other nonsense he spouted in OP, then why didn't he contact her earlier? He clearly knew how, since he found her on social media quickly. This just smacks of BS. Not the a-hole by a mile. These people are freaking psycho. Block, block, block. Your bio kid might decide for himself to try and find his bio dad one day, but it's your job to defend his privacy until then. And make sure his decision is informed. That is, he knows that his bio dad is a complete ass. I told him everything when his parents decided it was time to tell him who I was really. I didn't make Mike into a villain, just said he left her after I told him I was pregnant and never reached out. He's been clear that while I am his biological mother and Mike his biological father, he doesn't see either of us as parents. I am his aunt and Mike is a stranger. I hope Mike never finds him. If he does, make sure your nephew gets more details about Mike's actions, so he doesn't give him a chance at all. Not the a-hole. Hi, therapist here. Seems like it was the right decision for everyone involved. Especially Mike, who clearly shouldn't be anywhere near children given his full lack of impulse control and empathy. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my ex-wife financially after she cheated on me? I, 35 male, was married to my ex-wife, 34 female, for 10 years. We built a life together and I thought we were happy until I discovered she was having an affair. It shattered me and the divorce process was grueling. I had to start over from scratch, emotionally and financially. Despite everything, I remained committed to supporting our 2 children. I provide generous child support and ensure they have everything they need. Recently, my ex reached out to me, saying she's in a tight spot financially and asked if I could lend her some money to cover her expenses. I declined, explaining that my responsibility is to our children, not to her. She argued that helping her would ultimately benefit the kids, but I stood firm. I've already endured enough pain and can't see myself extending help to someone who betrayed my trust so deeply. Now, she's turned some of our mutual friends against me, claiming I'm being vindictive and punishing her through financial means. They believe I should help her for the sake of our children, but I can't bring myself to do it. Am I the a-hole? Edit. My focus is on providing for my kids, not supporting someone who broke our family. Boundaries are essential for my healing and self-respect. Not the a-hole. The kids are already being provided for. That's the extent of what you are legally/morally obliged to do. It sounds like she took you to the cleaners and is now back for more. If it had been even a little amicable, then you may have wanted to help. Any friends who are taking her side in this are friends you don't need. Tell them to give her the money since they are still her friends. Suggest you take full custody of the kids. She can still have visitation rights. This will lessen the financial burden she is suffering, and she can do so without compromising the welfare of the children. You can even offer to waive any child support from her. She won't accept, but you've offered a solution. This is the best answer. She'll start using child support money to cover her own expenses, instead of using it on the kids and blame you for them having to go without. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Her affair partner can help her. Exactly. If she's in such a tight spot, her affair partner should be stepping up. It's not your responsibility to financially bail her out after what she did. You're already providing for the kids. She should have expected to handle her own situation. My immediate response was, why don't you ask a fair partner to help, since that's how you got into this situation? And I'd tell the friends, I'm not being vindictive. I only help close friends or partners, and her and I are neither after she chose to have an affair. Next story. Would I be the a-hole if I leave my partner homeless? I, 20 female, and my fiancé, 22 male, have been at each other's throats 24/7. Not one day goes by where I can have peace of mind with his man-child. I've already called off my engagement, and I'm about to just call it quits. But I'm the breadwinner, so that would leave him homeless. Anytime I mention breaking up, he says I'm being typical, bringing up my family history, and claims he wouldn't be surprised if I took him to court for child support for our 1-year-old son. A little backstory leading to now. I am the one who cooks, cleans, works, makes appointments, and finds babysitters. All he does is work, come home, put Mickey Mouse on our son's tablet, and then go play video games while our son watches Mickey Mouse. That's how it goes until I get home from work around 12 a.m. I'm a server, and all the bills are under my name. He contributes $800 towards the bills, while I paid $2,300. We both work full-time jobs. Anytime I complain to him about not putting in the effort, he says, "I will change. I'm sorry. I'll do better." But he never does. I'm at my breaking point. For example, after I did the laundry and handed him bags of neatly folded clean clothes, he told me to be patient and that he would put them away. It's been 1.5 weeks, and they're still in the corner of the room, now with dirty clothes piled on top of them. Whenever I suggest we clean together, he helps for the first 5 minutes, then starts complaining about how tired he is, lays down, and goes on his phone. I'm exhausted. All I do is try to make this man happy, even if it means my mental health is at an all-time low. I'm currently dealing with a lot of health issues and can't seem to find the energy to even take care of myself. I even let his family stay with us rent-free if it meant making him happy, but I feel like I'm doing everything wrong. I just want to throw it all away. I'm exhausted. If I leave him, he would be homeless because I'm the only one who can afford a place we live in. He says he would rather be homeless than move in with his family again. I just can't handle it anymore. Would I be the a-hole if I leave my fiancé? Edit. For everyone wondering how I lasted so long with him, I occasionally get comments like, "I'll off myself," or "You're a whore like your family," whenever I bring up leaving. It makes me think about how I don't want my son to grow up saying he doesn't have a dad. My child's father and I have been together since we were kids. We grew up together. Not the a-hole. Get rid of him. His homelessness is his issue. How does he also work full-time, but only has $800 to put toward his family? Your stress will be cut in half. Exactly. Plus, he has a place to go. He just doesn't want to go there. I'd be more mad about him whining about child support. Why shouldn't he pay for his child? He is not your problem to solve. You know better than to marry him. And fortunately, you and your kid are now tied to him for life. Also, he is a dad. Child support is part of that if it comes to it. No gotcha there. Stop prioritizing him. He's like this because he can do. Let him solve his living issue. Agree, child support is not a surprise. No gotcha moment. Everyone knows this. OP, he is trying to bully you out of him paying child support. If you create a child, you have to support them. This is common knowledge. You would not be the a-hole if you left, but you would be if you let him continue to teach your son that is how you treat your partner. We promote what we permit. Children learn from their parents. If you can't dump this guy for yourself, do it for your child. Last story. I, 33 female, told my boyfriend, 33 male, that I'm no longer interested in marriage. I, 33 female, have been in a 10-year relationship with my boyfriend Carl, 33 male. After the first year of our relationship, I made it very clear that I intended to be a wife someday. By the time I was 28, I started to remind him of my goals and expectations. And Carl told me that while he knew he wanted to marry me, he just wasn't ready yet. He also said he didn't like how I was pressuring him and even called me controlling. Eventually, we broke up, but 6 months later, we got back together and even moved in together. Looking back on it now, I realized that wasn't the best decision, but I was so emotionally attached to this man and felt so invested that I was willing to go back to him. Carl and I have now been living together for 4 years. While I stopped being happy about it after the first 6 months, living with him isn't a bad experience. Plus, I always thought that us getting married was just around the corner because he said he was ready to commit to me. He explained that he wanted to wait for the right time because I deserved a perfect proposal and a more stable husband. I've been going to therapy for the past 2 years and recently had an epiphany. Since childhood, I've always wanted a wedding, but never really gave much thought to being a married woman 24/7 and what that would mean. Given my country's shift in politics and new laws that politicians are trying to pass, I realized that not only am I fine with never getting married, but I'm starting to lean more into no longer possessing the desire to do it. Since then, it feels like I've been set free in a way and started focusing on myself. One of the major things I've done is tell Carl that I'll no longer assist with babysitting his nephews and niece. And instead, I'll focus more of my time on getting certified in something to increase my earning potential and just relaxing. Carl seemed nonchalant about it at first, but then he said we needed to have a sit down after I sent Carl's mom and his brother a text, letting them know they had 3 weeks before I stopped helping out completely. Carl said that while he understands my desire for more personal time, it's important to be there and sacrifice for family. I told him that he could switch around his own work schedule and help with the kids, since they're technically his family. He said the children love me and that one day they'd be my family too, once we were man and wife. It was at that moment I told him I no longer desired marriage. While I gave him my reasons, Carl still took it as me wanting to break up with him and or thinking that he would make a terrible husband. That's not the case at all, but he's starting to lash out and get suspicious, and I just don't know what to do. How do I get my boyfriend to see that it's me, not him? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. So he can unilaterally decide when you need to act like a wife and when he doesn't need to act like a husband? Nah. Bro overplayed his hand, and now he needs to deal with the consequences. The carrot he was holding over Opie's head is now rotten and no longer of interest for Opie. He cannot use it to pressure her anymore into things like babysitting his nibblings. The maybe someday have faith is gone. Now, if Opie finally realizes she doesn't want to be with him anymore, she can just leave without sacrificing anything. The first thing was feeling relieved, the first action to quit babysitting. That says a lot. The sacrificing part was hilarious. It's the general social expectation for women when it comes to caregiving. Your mistake is thinking it's your responsibility to help him adjust. You are not his mom nor wife. Let him be suspicious and do not accept lashing out of any kind. He's probably more projecting than suspicious. You are right. The last thing she should do is nurture this relationship in any way. Not the a-hole. You just took away his leverage. How dare you? How else is he supposed to keep you in check if he can't hold the distant hope of marriage over your head? He thinks that it's important to be there and sacrifice for a family. But why are you the one to sacrifice? After all, they're his nibblings, not yours. I think that this new and powerful attitude of yours is shaking up the power balance in your relationship, and your boyfriend is trying to steer back to where you were.